In last night's Game 4 matchup of this Edmonton-Vegas series, things got pretty testy near the end. Up 4-1 and with the net empty, Draisaitl tried to put a bow on it with an empty netter, when Pietrangelo came down and two-hand slashed him. And I haven't seen a slash like this in a while. Over the head and comes down on him, and I would say this is pretty clear intent to injure. The puck isn't anywhere near Draisaitl by this point, and regardless, it's just not even remotely a hockey play. There is no place in the NHL for this. But with that said, I do want to look at how we got here, because I feel like the refs and the NHL in general have to take some responsibility. We all like good, hard-fought playoff games with the inevitable chippiness that comes along with them. It's part of what makes the playoffs as incredible as they are, and that's great. But of course, there is a line you cannot cross, and it needs to be punished when it is crossed. The problem is that line feels awfully blurry these days. If we even go to just the last game of this series, at the end of the first period in that game, there was a late period face-off, and considering the time left, Draisaitl, for example, was already skating off. The players had clearly let their guards down and were ready to just let the time expire, when Kane, out of nowhere, makes a beeline towards Pietrangelo and then cross-checks him up high, right in the throat. And this is also not a hockey play. You factor in the time of the period, there's just no reason for this at all. And while Kane did get a 2-minute minor, he didn't get a hearing, a fine, nothing further. And I'm not saying he should have been suspended necessarily, but you kind of think this is something the league would take a stance against. At least a fine, I don't know. But with this and the various other examples from these playoffs so far, I can understand some frustration. And at some point, players are going to just take matters into their own hands if the league will not. So you take that shot from that game against Pietrangelo, which I think started a lot of this, plus all of the punishment throughout the series he's taken, and then this one, this was again from Kane that saw Pietrangelo going into the boards head first just minutes before the end of the game. Pietrangelo was slowly boiling and finally boiled over. And again, let me be very clear here. Regardless of anything that happened, I do not think this is a hockey play. I do think this is inexcusable, and in general, it's just not okay. All I'm trying to say is if the NHL will just manage these games a little tighter and actually call a penalty when it's a penalty, punish non-hockey plays, it might stop some of this from boiling over. But with that said, this is as good of time as any to start. So I'll ask you guys, will the NHL do the right thing here and suspend Pietrangelo for this? As of the making of this video, he does officially have a hearing, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below, guys. I'm sure I'll get plenty of people disagreeing with me on this one, but it is what it is. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.